I paid my sister's rent, jumped her debts, and even lent her my car. But when she crashed it, she called the police on me. My parents supported her. So I gave them a gift they'll never forget. My name is Rodrigo Alvarez. I'm 32 years old, and I've spent a large part of my adult life fixing my younger sister Natalia's problems, covering her mistakes, paying her bills, intervening every time she messed something up, and she always did. Natalia was 26 years old, but she acted like she was 16. She never held a steady job, never saved a penny, and never learned to take responsibility for anything. Somehow, that had become my problem. Our parents, David and Linda Alvarez, decided a long time ago that Natalia was too fragile for the real world. Mom always said she was a free spirit who needed time to find her way. Dad, on the other hand, simply refused to deal with her. So when she dropped out of college and came home, they made her my responsibility. Rodrigo, you're the oldest. You've always been the responsible one. Natalia just needs a little help. That's all. It won't last. That little help turned into years of financial attrition. I paid her rent when she couldn't afford it. I covered her credit card debt when she maxed it out buying clothes and going on weekend trips. I paid her car insurance because she forgot, and each time I repeated to myself, she's my sister. Someday she'll change. But she never did, and this time she'd gone too far. The message that changed everything started with a casual short message, as if she hadn't done anything wrong. Natalia. Hey, I took your car for the weekend trip. You weren't using it, right? I stared at the screen, unable to process what I was reading. My car, the car I worked overtime for, the car I made monthly payments on. I immediately called, my heart pounding hard. What do you mean you took my car? I asked, my voice tense. Natalia sighed as if I was the one causing the problem. Relax, Rodri, it's just for the weekend. We're going to the country house, remember? I never told you could take my car. You weren't even home. What's the problem? I clenched my jaw. The problem was that it wasn't hers. But before I could argue, she had already hung up. At that moment, I should have called our parents directly, but I already knew what they were going to say. Rodrigo, it's just a car. She's your sister. Why are you always so selfish? It's not like she stole it, she's just borrowing it. So I let it go. I shouldn't have. The 2 a.m. call. The next message came at 2 a.m., jolting me from a deep sleep. It was Natalia crying. Rodri, I had an accident. I sat up so fast I got dizzy. Are you okay? I asked, my heart hammering in my chest. I think so, but the car. She took a sharp breath. It's wrecked. I barely heard the rest of what she said. Everything became blurry. My car. My responsibility. Her voice trembled. Rodri, you have to come. The police are being super unfair. Just tell them everything's okay. Okay? She wanted me to cover for her. Again. I took a deep breath, my fingers tightening on the phone. No, I said, my voice firm. I won't. Silence. Then a bitter, mocking laugh. Are you serious, Rodrigo? I'm your sister. I know, I replied, my tone unwavering. And that's the problem. There was a pause. Maybe she was in shock because for the first time I had said no to her. And then just as I expected, she started yelling. Are you kidding me, Rodrigo? She shrieked. Are you really going to let your own sister face this alone, after everything I've done for you? Oh, I knew exactly what she meant by everything. Everything meant the years of covering her debts, the thousands of euros each of her mistakes had cost me, the countless times she had manipulated me to save her. And yet somehow I was the villain. I gripped the phone in my hand. You stole my car, Natalia. You crashed it. And now, instead of taking responsibility, you want me to take the blame. Do you hear yourself? She let out a sarcastic laugh. Please, Rodri. It's just money. You can afford it. I'm the one who's hurt. There it was. Natalia's special move. Twisting the story, making herself the victim. The family betrayal. I could already imagine what she would tell our parents. Rodrigo doesn't care about his own sister. I had an accident, and he just abandoned me. And knowing them, they'd believe her. But I didn't care anymore. Call Mom and Dad, I said coldly. Maybe they'll finally take responsibility for you. I'm done. And I hung up. The next morning, I woke up to exactly what I expected. My parents flooding my phone with messages. Mom. Rodrigo, what's wrong with you? Your sister could have died, Dad. We raised you better than this. You need to take care of your family. Mom. The hospital bill is enormous, Rodrigo. She's your sister. I stared at the screen, feeling something I hadn't expected. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't frustration. It was exhaustion. I ignored the messages. I ignored the missed calls. I ignored everything until my father showed up at my apartment door. I opened the door and there he was. Arms crossed, face tense with anger. Get dressed, he ordered. We're going to the hospital. Now. I almost laughed. No, we're not. My father's eyes narrowed. Rodrigo, you're acting like a selfish brat. Your sister needs you. I crossed my arms. You mean she needs my money? He didn't even blink. It's family, Rodrigo. You can't turn your back on family. I exhaled slowly. Funny how that only applies when I'm the one giving and Natalia's the one taking. My father's jaw tightened. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I shook my head. No, Dad. You made it hard when you decided Natalia's life was my responsibility instead of yours. She's your daughter. Why don't you pay her medical bills? His face hardened. We don't have that kind of money. Ah, there it was. The real reason he was standing at my door. I tilted my head. But I do. This isn't about money. It's always about money with you. My father's face turned red. Rodrigo, this is your last chance. Either you help or you're out of this family. I let out a real genuine laugh. Out of this family. I repeated. Dad, I was never in it. I was just the emergency bank account you used to keep the house running. I took a step back and grabbed the door. Good luck with Natalia, I said, looking him directly in the eye. Because I'm done. And with that, I slammed the door in his face. The knock on my door. 2 days of silence. Not a single call, not a single message. I should have felt relieved. Finally, I was free. No more money transfers to Natalia's account. No more guilt trips from Mom. No more. Rodrigo, be a good brother. But something felt off. Natalia wasn't one to stay quiet. And then, on the third day, my world exploded. It was 7 a.m. when I heard the pounding on my door. Not knocking, pounding. I stumbled out of bed half asleep and opened the door. 2 uniformed police officers stood on my threshold. Rodrigo Alvarez. One of them asked. My stomach sank. Yes. The taller officer pulled out a notepad. We need to talk to you about a stolen vehicle report. My blood turned to ice. Stolen? What? The officer's face remained impassive. Your sister, Natalia Alvarez, has reported that you stole her car, crashed it, and abandoned her at the scene. For a second, I let out an incredulous laugh. Excuse me? My car? The one I paid for? The one she took without permission? The officer didn't react. Do you have proof of ownership? The interrogation. I stared at him. Of course I have proof. The car is in my name. But that wasn't what disturbed me. It was the sheer audacity of it all. Natalia had completely flipped the story, and my parents had backed her up. She also mentioned that you threatened her. The officer continued, checking his notes. That after the accident you refused to help her, you left her abandoned and you told her that she would regret it. I clenched my fists. That's a complete lie. The officer exchanged a look with his partner. Then you won't mind coming down to the station to clear things up. This time I actually struggled to breathe. Natalia wasn't just trying to guilt-trip me this time. She was trying to destroy me. The statement at the police station. They took me to a small cold room. The fluorescent lights buzzed. The metal chair was uncomfortable. I could feel my heart hammering in my chest. A different officer sat across from me, a file in his hands. Rodrigo, let's start from the beginning, he said in a neutral tone. Tell me what happened that night. I told him everything. The stolen car. The crash. The 2 a.m. call. The way Natalia had demanded I cover for her. The way my parents had sided with her. The officer nodded slowly, taking notes. Do you have any proof of this? My fingers twitched. Yes. I pulled out my phone, swiping through the screen until I found Natalia's original message, the message where she admitted to taking my car. I placed the phone on the table. Read it. The officer picked up the phone, his eyes scanning the screen. I could see the exact moment he realized she was lying. Well, well, he murmured. That's interesting. He left the room for a moment. When he returned, he had a copy of Natalia's statement. I almost laughed. It was so absurd, so full of lies, it was pathetic. According to her, I had taken the car while she was sleeping. I had been drinking and crashed it. I had abandoned her on the road, leaving her alone with the police. But the worst part was at the end. Witnesses. David and Linda Alvarez. My own parents had signed a statement against me, burning it all down. I sat back in the chair, my heart pounding. But when I spoke, my voice was deadly calm. Officer, I want to file my own report. He raised an eyebrow. Against your sister? Yes. I took a deep breath and said the words that would change everything. Natalia Alvarez stole my car. I never gave her permission. I want to press charges. The officer hesitated for a moment. Are you absolutely sure? I held his gaze. I've never been so sure of anything in my life. I want her charged with vehicle theft. And with those words, the tables turned. The fallout. By the time I got home, the chaos had already begun. My phone was on fire with missed calls from my parents. Mo, Rodrigo, what have you done? Dad, cancel this now. You're ruining Natalia's life. Mom, she's your sister. Family. Click. And finally, the last message. Natalia, you don't exist to me anymore. I stared at the screen, my heart hammering in my chest. And then I smiled. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt free. I knew this was going to blow up, but I never imagined how fast. Natalia's downfall. By the time the police finished reviewing my theft report, Natalia was already in freefall. She wasn't facing a simple fine or a warning. She was facing serious charges. Stealing a vehicle wasn't a joke. Neither was filing a false police report. But the real fireworks began when she lost the one thing she actually cared about. Her job. The beginning of the end. The next morning I received a call. It wasn't from Natalia. It wasn't from my parents. It was from her boss. Mr. Alvarez? This is Ana Campos from Iberian Consulting. I blinked. Natalia worked at Iberian Consulting? Why were they calling me? Yes, I answered cautiously. Ana cleared her throat. We're calling in relation to an ongoing investigation into an employee, Natalia Alvarez. Her name appeared in a police report, and we wanted to verify some details. My heart skipped a beat. I kept my voice steady. What details? Your sister mentioned you as a character witness in an internal review we are conducting. We just wanted to confirm if you are involved in any legal matters that might affect our case. I almost laughed. Legal matters? I repeated. You mean stealing my car and filing a false report to get me arrested? Silence. After a pause, Anna's voice sounded more tense. I see. That's all we needed. Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Click. Less than 3 hours later, Natalia started calling. The meltdown. First call. 10:37 a.m. Ignored. Second call. 10:42 a.m. Ignored. Third call. 10:45 a.m. Voicemail. I hesitated for a moment, then played the message. Rodrigo, I swear to God you ruined my life. What's wrong with you? I got fired. Do you hear me? I got fired. I hope you're happy, you selfish. I deleted the message before it finished. Fourth call, 11:02 a.m. I answered. Natalia. Her voice was trembling, but not because she was remorseful, because she was furious. You have to fix this. I let out a laugh. Fix what? The mess you created. It wasn't a mess. She screamed. I lost my job, Rodrigo. I can't pay my rent. How am I supposed to survive? I took a deep breath. Not my problem. Silence. And then came the desperation. Rodrigo, you know I didn't want this to go this far. I filed a fake report against you. But I was scared. Mama and Dad. Don't bring them in this. My voice turned to ice. You made this decision. You thought like always I would cave. That I would clean up your mess. I paused. But you know what, Natalia? I'm not your safety net anymore. Dead silence. Then her voice changed. That fake sweetness, the same voice she used to manipulate people. Rodri, please. I need your help. I have nowhere to go. Ah, there it was. She wanted money. Natalia didn't care about the damage she'd caused. She wasn't sorry. She was scared. Scared because for the first time in her life I wasn't running to save her. I let the silence stretch and then slowly I said, "Welcome to reality, Natalia." And I hung up. My parents' last plea. I knew my parents weren't going to let this go. And sure enough, that same night, I heard the sound of a car pulling up in my driveway. I let out a sigh. Here we go. I opened the door before they could even knock. There they were. Mom and Dad. Arms crossed, faces grim. I didn't even invite them in. "What do you want?" I asked. Mom's voice was sharp. "You need to fix this, Rodrigo." I crossed my arms. "Fix what?" Dad frowned. "Your sister. She lost everything because of you." I laughed out loud. Because of me? Or because she lied to the police? Mom's eyes narrowed. She was desperate, Rodrigo. She didn't know what else to do. She could have taken responsibility for once in her life. Mom scoffed. "Oh, and you're so perfect? You never made mistakes that would lead to an innocent person being arrested." Mom's lips pressed into a thin line. "Rodrigo, she's your sister. If you don't take her in, she'll be on the streets." And there it was. The real reason they came. They wanted me to let Natalia move in with me. I looked at both of them directly in the eye. "No," Mom gasped. "Rodrigo." I held my gaze steady. "You didn't listen to me when I said I was done. You took her side. You called me selfish. You supported her lies. And now you want me to open my home to her." Dad's voice turned low. "Rodrigo, we are family." Family. I exhaled. And then I said the words that sealed my fate. "Not this time." I closed the door in their faces. I heard Mom let out a strangled cry. I heard Dad mutter something under his breath. But I didn't care. I locked the door and walked away. Natalia's rock bottom. 3 days later I got the last message. "Natalia, I'm leaving town. You seriously ruined everything, you know? You got what you wanted. I hope you can live with yourself." I stared at the screen. I didn't feel guilty. Not because I finally put myself first. Not because for the first time in my life I chose me. The final goodbye. Natalia was gone. The family group chat was silent. No calls from my parents. No guilt-tripping messages. No demands for money. Nothing. For the first time in years I was truly alone. And yet I felt empty. I should have felt relieved. I had won after all. Natalia was out of my life. The toxic cycle was broken. So why did I feel like I was standing in the middle of the ruins of a war? Maybe because deep down I always believed that someday she would change. Maybe because, despite it all, there was still a small part of me that wanted to be her brother. I was still thinking about that when I heard the knock. A soft, hesitant knock. I frowned. I checked my phone. No missed calls, no messages. I opened the door. And I froze. Natalia was there. But she wasn't the same. Her hair was a mess, her clothes wrinkled. The usual arrogance was gone. In its place was something else, desperation. The last conversation. She looked like someone who had lost everything. For the first time in years she looked truly scared. "Natalia." My voice was cold. She swallowed hard. "Rodrigo, I have nowhere to go." For a moment I just looked at her. Years of resentment, anger, and exhaustion simmered beneath my skin. All those nights I worked overtime to pay her bills. All those times she called me selfish while taking my money. All those times Mom and Dad said, "Rodrigo, be a good brother." And now here she was pleading. "Rodrigo, please," she whispered. I clenched my jaw. "You tried to have me arrested, Natalia." She flinched. "I know." I exhaled slowly. "And you expect me to just forget about it?" She lowered her gaze. "I don't expect anything. I have nothing left." I studied her. She wasn't lying. Her job gone. Her apartment evicted. Her friends vanished. For the first time in her life, Natalia was truly alone. She took a shaky breath. "I don't need money. I don't need a place to stay. She hesitated, her voice trembling. "I just want my brother back." And there it was. It wasn't a demand. It wasn't manipulation. It was the raw truth. For the first time since all of this started, I saw her, my little sister. Again. And that terrified me more than anything. Because deep down I knew. This was the moment I had to choose. The decision. I took a deep breath. My entire life I'd been her safety net, the one who cleaned up her messes. And I knew if I let her back in even just this once, nothing would change. Natalia needed to fall. She needed to hit rock bottom. Because as long as she had someone to rescue her, she would never learn. She must have seen the decision in my face because her eyes filled with panic. "Rodrigo, don't do this," she pleaded. "I swear I'll change. I'll prove it to you. Just give me a chance." I exhaled. "I gave you 100 chances." Her face crumpled. "You're my brother. You're supposed to help me." There it was. That same entitlement. That expectation that I would always be there. I clenched my fists. "And what about you, Natalia? What have you ever done for me?" She blinked. "What? I mean it. What have you ever done for me?" I took a step forward. "You took my car. You wrecked it. You tried to have me arrested. You lied to our parents. And now, when you have nowhere left to turn, you show up expecting me to forgive you." Her lips trembled. "Rodrigo, I just thought we were family." I stared at her for a long moment. I said nothing. And then in a quiet voice I said, "Family doesn't do what you did to me." She inhaled sharply as if I'd slapped her. I shook my head. "I hope you find a way to get back on your feet, Natalia. I really do. But I can't be in your life anymore." Her eyes overflowed with tears. "Rodrigo, please." The final goodbye. "Goodbye, Natalia." And for the last time I closed the door. Epilogue. A new beginning. 2 months later I moved. A new city. A new job. A new life. No calls from my parents. No messages from Natalia. And you know what? I didn't miss them. Because for the first time in my life I was living for me. Some nights I still thought about her. I wondered if she was okay. But then I remembered all the years I spent sacrificing myself. That this was the only way she would ever learn. I wasn't angry anymore. I didn't hold any resentment. I was just free. And I never looked back. Final update. I cut off my toxic sister and family. Here's the result. Hi everyone, it's been a while. A lot of you asked for an update after I cut ties with my sister. So here it is. Quick recap. Natalia is out of my life. My parents haven't spoken to me since. I've never felt better. But wow, the reactions to my story have been crazy. Some of you fully supported my decision. Others think I'm a heartless monster. So let's talk about it. For those who supported me, thank you sincerely. A lot of you shared your own stories about cutting ties with toxic family members, and that really made me feel less alone. Setting boundaries is never easy, especially when you grow up believing that family means sacrifice. But at some point you have to ask yourself, sacrifice for whom? And at what cost? Natalia had years to change. She had every opportunity to take responsibility for her actions. But instead she doubled down. She lied. She manipulated. She tried to destroy my life. Choosing myself wasn't selfish. It was necessary. And honestly, the peace I feel now is something I never thought possible. For those who think I went too far, I hear you. I know cutting off family is a huge decision, and I didn't take it lightly. Some of you believe I should have forgiven her, helped her get back on her feet, or at least tried to mend things with my parents. But my question is, why is the burden always on me? Why should I be the one to fix things if I wasn't the one who broke them? Why should I forgive someone who not only stole from me, but tried to ruin my life with a false accusation? Why should I keep giving chances when every single one was trampled on? At some point, enough is enough. And I reached that point. Where I am now, Natalia is out of my life. Last I heard, she spent some time couchsurfing before disappearing from social media. My parents are still angry since I refused to take her in. They haven't spoken to me since. I am happier than I've ever been. New job, new city, no guilt. So I want to know your thoughts. Who was right? The ones who supported my decision, or the ones who think I should have handled it differently?